alcohol and cannabis, there's something called a U-shaped curve. And when they've looked at a lot of the research on effects, it has to do with a certain amount can be stimulating the appetite with wine, antioxidants, etc. It's interesting that you talk about amount, because the NIAAA has actually come out with what is a at-risk amount for wine. Since I have Scotch-Irish ancestry, Scotch, vodka, and beer. And there are at-risk amounts and frequency of use that people can use with alcohol. The interesting thing is that we don't have measures on quantity and frequency of cannabis yet in terms of what's dangerous. I would suggest to you what the evidence says, and this is where it's important with cannabis and alcohol, is to sort out what's propaganda or concern with facts. So when Dr. Valdez talks about kids need accurate information, where they'll blow you off as the reefer madness narc dude apparently. But there are benefits up to a certain amount, and then we have problems. So, for example, I can't recite without looking at notes the percentage of problems with alcohol dependence or alcohol abuse. We likewise have people that are affected in a variety of ways with cannabis to the point it becomes abusive or dependent or problematic. And I would agree with you, even NORML, which is promoting legalization and taxation.
The organization.
Yeah, the organization, NORML. Even they have taken the position that with kids, it should be a no-no. When I've sat and talked with parents clinically who are high-performing, high-functioning, and they say, I don't know what to tell my kid, he's smoking a little dope, I did too all the way through college, look at me. I'm doing fine, I'm successful, etc. The current data with cannabis is in kids is that there's the neurotransmitter, the brain development, the frontal cortex is not fully developed with kids, and it's still undergoing development. So NORML's position, not good for kids, actually is having some very current scientific evidence in terms of brain development, neuroanatomical development, neurotransmitter development, etc. So the developing brain is why it's at risk for kids with alcohol and cannabis. But we don't know what those limits are sometimes. I'll pause with it.
In my argument, I have not, at length, made it clear, and have made it clear to my grandchildren, I am not arguing that marijuana is without risk, that it doesn't have dangers, or that it's even a good thing. I am arguing that our current regime of prohibition causes more problems, and that the worst thing that can happen to you, to most kids from marijuana, is to get in trouble with the law, a problem that will keep on giving, for a long, long time. That the laws are outsized completely. And we're coming back to the research. A good deal of research needs to be done on cannabis, but the laws have restricted pretty well. This oversimplifies it, but it's not too far oversimplified. The only place you can get cannabis to do legal research on it in the United States is from a farm at Ole Miss. That's the only place you can get it to do legal research. And essentially, the people who are going to do research with that marijuana pretty much have to promise we're going to come out against it. And that we need to go ahead and do the research, do a wider range of research that would settle some of these problems.
You say 5,000 years of marijuana.
Yes.
You have fields in the United States, fields everywhere of marijuana. In the Mediterranean countries, for thousands of years, you had vineyards. You can't be a Christian if you don't have olive oil and wine. Because the Christ has been, this means the Christ has been covered with olive oil, one thing, and you can't be a Christian if you don't drink wine, because that's communion. You see, so it's a very big difference. If in the United States you had for thousands of years marijuana fields related to religion, to any religion, then I would understand. So it's not the same thing.
I'm very sensitive to time. It's after 6, and what I'd like to do is take one more question, and then we'll close this down. Yes, please, sir.
I was very interested in the focus of our focus of our discussion is on the consumer. But I'd like to ask Professor Valdez that what about the sociology of the community which is accepting it? I'm from Humboldt County, and it has somewhat of a reputation for consumption of it. And what I've noticed is that the consumption is embraced by many of the most wealthy, prominent, including the sheriff. But we were talking last evening about the effect in Chihuahua, where in fact that economy has been looking one way favorably at the income that has been now coming in because of the drug traffic, but in fact, as the violence increases, there is an entirely incredible shift because of the prevalence of weaponry.
This is I'm sorry, but it hurts me to tell you that I think what happened in Chihuahua is that we got comfortable with the incomes that we were getting. We got new car agencies. We got huge restaurants. Our economy went up in like this, and we thought, magic. It was not magic. And then we said, you know what, no, we don't like this. By the time we said we don't like this, it was part of our families, it was part of our schools. I don't know, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I'm sorry. When I say it's part of our families and it's part of our schools, I want to tell you, I have had cousins of mine murdered. I have had students of mine murdered. And there is a necessity for the human being to get justice. And justice is not going to get made because there's bigger economic power that outpowers our politic power. And to me, when I think, oh, what do I think about the president? I think he's a brave guy that's standing up there. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything. I'm sorry. The economic power that he has, or that we have as a country, is not equal to the one they have. And that's what I wanted to tell you. It feels comfortable at the beginning. It hurts very much to take away because it becomes part of your roots, of your community, of your family, and it hurts. I don't know if any of you have had a member of your family killed, but it hurts like hell. It is unexplainable. Nature is explainable. You understand someone drowning, that's nature. You go down, water goes in your lungs, nature. But another human being, it hurts. And it's very hard on a community, that's what I can say.
It's important to keep in mind when talking about the Mexican situation that the reason there's so much huge amount of money involved there is because you have a product that's really pretty cheap to produce. And the regime of prohibition in this country combined with the incredible demand for drugs. I'm not trying to defend that at all. But it drives the price up, so it creates the wealth, and you can kill one drug lord and two others take his place. With that much money involved, then so there's always going to be people, particularly in a poor country, to step up with that chance of wealth. And so my interest in all this is much more has to do with how can we undercut that. The price of the amount, the proportion of the income to the Mexican cartels is estimated, on marijuana alone, is estimated as high as 70%. Personally, I think that's probably too high. With respect to drug, it doesn't cost near as much as cocaine, but it's so much more widely used, far, far more widely used than cocaine. And they just ship it in by the tons. There's an enormous profit margin there that just doesn't have to be there at all. And you wouldn't destroy the cartels, but you could deal them a serious blow. you could deal them a serious blow if marijuana were handled as you handle alcohol. I would handle it more strictly than alcohol, by the way.
I was going to comment to the audience that the issue of prohibition, punishment, treatment is a very complicated issue. I would refer you back to history, that tobacco is a Native American product that we exported, which is how the hookah developed to begin with. So the United States, in terms of drug exportation, and that U-shaped curve, by the way, does not apply to tobacco. When you think about prohibition and the effects of prohibition on alcohol and Al Capone, sort of associations to go together. We now have taxation with alcohol. We have taxation with those products. It's complicated in the sense that when my students tend to be very advocating of this, I talk with them about, have you been paying attention to the newspaper, what's going on in Nuevo Laredo, Juarez, Brownsville? Have you paid attention to this? Because we have prohibition here, it does fuel the market for even cannabis in this country. And that's part of the complication of the issue. To go back, when we tried prohibition here, which Dr. Ackerman was here, one of the first internal rebellions we had in the United States was the Whiskey Rebellion in western Pennsylvania and western Maryland. And that's when they decided to tax alcohol. So it wasn't without it. If we also tie treatment to taxation of alcohol and drugs, for every couple of dollars that an ABC liquor store takes in, funnel that toward treatment, then we might have a better avenue to go also.
Yeah. Thank you. Now I'm really sensitive of time and food that's out waiting for us. Please join me in thanking Dr. Valdez, Dr. Martin, and Dr. Alexander for spending their time with us.
Let's give another round of applause to all of our panelists today. It's been a wonderful day and a very fruitful day, and thank you all for joining us today. We would like to see you at next year's platform. It's going to be in late January or early February. We will send you emails about that. Thank you.
Thank you.